Aloha. Sorry, it's kind of dark right now, but I know you can hear me. One thing I wanted to bring up and share with people is just a kind of conversation that was passing by was this affinity for like animal history, animal evolution. Specifically, like monkeys is the obvious one, but one thing we don't really discuss in the so-called flat earth community and like other truther communities is the focus on timelines based upon the evolution theory belief system. So your time, the very way you perceive your time, like your life here, your experience here, your ancestors here, is through a heliocentric time code. So your time disrupts your relationship with who and what you are based upon the artificial cosmology that's pumped through the masses. So that's one way that we're separated from ourselves through time. Another way we're separated from ourselves through time is this monkey evolution belief system that goes into the idea that we come from the Big Bang to the globe Earth to dinosaurs to alligators to monkeys to humans to smartphones. So we believe that, like that, oh yeah, that's a belief now. And that really stops our conscious evolution in our reality, because now, since everything is just based upon evolution, and we don't really have anything to add to this experience, it's just happening on its own. So beyond that, on a regular everyday basis, that's like the macro, that's like on a macro space how we are limited with our thought. On a micro space, that's on a macro space, because you don't even think, like collectively we don't even think about anything beyond those thought processes. The thought processes that were taught by the university system, the same colonial mind control that has been limiting our education and our intellect for hundreds of years now. So one thing that, because I wanted to keep this short, one thing that loops that in, that we don't really pay attention to is, because this loops back to the so-called human story. It's not the human story, it's just the story of the conscious beings who experience this reality. Humanity is just another term like heliocentrism that's used to limit us ultimately. We don't understand what human is, just like you don't understand what love is. It's just this floaty sort of, oh yeah, this is something we're supposed to believe in because it feels good. Humanity feels good. Unity feels good. Like all this stuff feels good, but it has nothing to do with actually understanding, and overstanding the situation. When you use words like unity and humanity, those terms like New World Order are used to distract from the responsibility of the work that needs to be done in healing and expanding and truly going into the depths of what happened. See, band-aids are heliocentrism, and like going to the moon was a band-aid for the Cold War. The war on terrorism was a band-aid for the colonial mindset that has taken over the world. So you can see how these band-aids, like the cancer treatment, pink ribbon shit, that's a band-aid for, at best, that's a band-aid for the cancer industry, because the cancer industry creates cancer. So it's not even really a band-aid. It's like a McDonald's like infected band-aid. And colored band-aid. McDonald's. See, that's the thing. Another thing that we're talking about, like things that go against humanity. Cancer, like I can't remember what I compared it to, but I think we're talking about the cancer industry and so on and so forth, but one thing that came out in that conversation was in reference to the war against our children. Oh, that's what it was. We were driving down the street, and I can't remember what we were mentioning. It was me and my cousin, and her. We were talking about how there are some things that are like cancer as a whole. I think it was in reference to cancer as a whole, like cancer is a thing or something like that, but cancer doesn't have advertisements up every I don't think it was cancer, it was something else more obvious. It's something like I don't know. But my response was cancer McDonald's does have, or cancer does have advertisements every every few miles, like, whereas was another, I can't remember what it was, something else didn't have advertisements. But you know, we're told every day we're supposed to be scared of that. We're supposed to be scared of you know, that idea. But what we're really supposed to be aware of, not afraid of, but aware of, is like what's killing us en masse on a regular basis every day. And that's stuff like McDonald's, and places like McDonald's have advertisements every, you know, few miles. So those are the real killers. And that's what the system doesn't want us to recognize. It's the real killers of society. It's kind of like the real gangsters and the real criminals of the world are not black and brown peoples of the world, like we've been convinced by the mainstream media to think. The real criminals and gangsters of the world wear suits and ties and push money around and create legislature for people to destroy themselves, and, you know, create systems that inflame the prison industrial complex and the military industrial complex, and inflame separation, try to separate you from your culture, separate you from your people, separate you from your ancestors, separate you from your intelligence, separate you from, like, and install this new version of so-called unity and connection, which is not. It's fake. It's just all words. It's invented, and that's kind of like this floaty sort of lack of definition of our reality, that goes into what I originally wanted to focus on, which was like we have all this, we have more information about the theories of this universe than we do about, you know, who and what we really are. We have more ideas and theories about this dead universe than we do, you know, our actual experience, the consciousness, the reality of who and what we are. And that's on purpose, because once you start figuring out who and what you are on every level, you become empowered enough to disempower the system which is controlling you on a micro and a macro level. So this is why people have to be dumb. This is why people can't look into their culture, their race, their true ethnicity, not the race agenda, but like the true cultural differences, like the organic, the spiritual diversity that exists in our beingness. So this is what a lot of people who, you know, instantaneously, you know, resort to, you're racist, this is reverse racism. There is a spiritual diversity that exists in our culture, in the differences in our bodies, that is on purpose, that is being ignored and discredited on purpose by the New World Order. We're all one, we're all human, mediocre type of mentality. That's what I've been saying over and over and over on this channel. This is why I focus a lot on the information that has been around for hundreds of years to separate us. So when I share that information, people think I'm using it to separate us. No, I'm sharing the information that has been used to separate us for hundreds and hundreds of years, so people do not fall for it again, and people are aware of it and can make their own damn decisions. So people don't just, you know, automatically resort to the easiest answer, which is, we're all human, we're all one, we need to unify, we need to stop this race shit. No, you need to stop this race shit, because you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So it's difficult for you. That's why you have to stop it. But you have homework to do. You have a responsibility. Whether you take the responsibility or not, that's on you. If you don't, you will be blindsided in the near future, because there will be hundreds of millions of people who are going to come to this information and become extremely knowledgeable about how this system has come to be, and you will be lost in your defending this bullshit ass system, and that is totally up to you. So that's people's decisions. That's what I told my cousin the other day. I said, shit, it's gonna get worse. You're gonna have some so-called, because this is the thing, I use white people as a reference to the consciousness, like the name, the label white people, because there's some brown white people, black white people, because that shit's all made up anyway. In reference to that, there are going to be some white people that get better, so-called white people that get better. And then there will be some people in the near future. And then there are going to be some people that get worse. They are going to get worse. You can already see it. This is why Trump is out there, to hold that extreme sort of, this is valid to think this way mentality. That's what Trump represents. He represents this is a valid way to think and be mentality. Because anything that falls short of that is acceptable. So if your president is a total piece of shit, he's like a glorified mediocrity, then anything that's mediocre is normal. This is the American dream. This is colonial world, so on and so forth. And a lot of that mediocrity is accepted as normal, as natural, as reality, because we have been convinced the university system that we are just these plain evolved nothings. So to close this out, this is what I wanted to focus on. We know more about the timeline of alligators. We know more about the timeline of dinosaurs. We know more about the timeline of horseshoe crabs. We know more about the timeline of sharks. We know more about, those are like the oldest so-called living things, supposedly the oldest living things on this planet, so-called planet. Horseshoe crabs, sharks, alligators, dinosaurs, and blue whales and shit like that. Like the biggest stuff, oldest stuff like that. And my question is, like, who the fuck said that that's the oldest stuff? Why? Because they have hard shells, because they look closest to dinosaurs. This is the thing. This is the main point is, when they tell you that horseshoe crabs, sharks, and alligators are these ancient things, who's to say that? Why is that older than you? Why is that more ancient than you? See, what that does is that makes those things more connected to the source subconsciously. You less connected to the source, like you're some new alien sort of thing, like this alien dropped you off here, and horseshoe crabs and alligators and sharks were here first, so you're like this cosmic mistake from an evolutionary sense. But that's my whole thing. It's just like when they tell you this is why there's so many nature shows that are out there, because the nature shows are there to reinforce the idea of the monkey evolution program and reinforce the idea of an empty sort of commercial human reality. You're just an animal. So you're just this living animal that evolved from horseshoe crabs, basically. And since horseshoe crabs are still here, you don't have any purpose. You have no meaning. So that's what I'm saying. We have to disassemble completely disassemble the education system from all its belief systems. And then people say, oh, well, they've tested, the horseshoe crabs are this old, and this is this old because this, and this. Well, I'm saying that's not my point. My point is there have been no tests, no real, genuine tests or looking into of who and what we are. That's the point. That's the main point, is to keep you from understanding who and what you are. So they have to go into the carbon dating of all this bullshit, these animals and these rocks and this stone, this dirt and all this other stuff. Talk about aliens and Sasquatch and all this bullshit to keep you from understanding who and what you are. To keep you from understanding, what this place is in reference to your consciousness. So they'll tell you, horseshoe crabs are millions and millions of years old. Why? To discredit your existence here, to keep you from connecting to who and what you are and what your reality is here. Same thing with sharks and dinosaurs and all that other shit. You become empty. You become nothing. You become worthless. And at the same time, you get this sort of ooh and ah, such a beautiful, like, wow, they really evolved till now. Oh my God, sharks are so beautiful. Whales are so beautiful. Horseshoe crabs are so beautiful. Turtles are so, look at that. Look how old these tortoises are, these turtles, they're all over the place, and wow, this place is so beautiful. It's overwhelming, really. Maybe I'll read some books someday about animals, and oh no, y'all just watch a documentary. And that's as far as we go. So you have to focus more on animals than you do who and what you are. So this is what I was saying in reference to culture as a whole. Like, society cares more about animals than it does about the people. Really look into it. They don't give a fuck about what's happening on the streets of people, but you see commercials day in and day out about the welfare of animals, the food, the quality of food for dogs, dog food, the quality of food for cats. Commercials out the ass for dogs and cats. Yet we have all these people living on the streets. You think that's an accident? That's what that does, is it desensitizes you. It desensitizes you from the reality that poverty is a money-making scheme, and in reference to that, death of masses of people is a money-making scheme. So you're desensitized to that. So this is why this is why it's so important to break down like the evolution, heliocentric universe, animal-based, because that taps into animal-based thinking and worshiping, is because that taps into the lack of relationship that we have with ourselves, our culture, each other. What is so-called humanity behind the commercialism of humanity? That's the thing. Who are we beyond the commercialization, the animal de-evolution, animalistic de-evolution of who and what we are? What are we? If we're not human, if we're souls expressing an example of the spirit, then what the fuck is that here? What are we supposed to be doing? Is it just a horseshoe crab alligator evolutionary cosmic mistake? And then that's it? That's what they're selling to the people. And you see it every day. Nature Life Show, Planet Earth, Blue Planet, Pacific Ocean, like all these shows, all this stuff, and then add to it even beyond that, the like Sasquatch ghost shows, even beyond that, the criminal shows. All you see is like death and destruction, emptiness, and nothing you can really answer, no questions you can really answer. And that's where the system wants people to be, to stay in that space. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. That horseshoe crab, alligators, and sharks thing is a real thing. It's a real thing. Because that's kind of like the segue into dinosaurs. And then in between that, you got like the saber-toothed cat, and then the, the mastodon, and all these in between sort of things are all designed to evolution. So this is why I say, in reference to the flat earth community, it gets kind of lazy, is because they don't really go into the depths, for the most part, to the depths of what the implications of the dinosaur hoax, the implications of lying to you about going to the moon, the implications of us not being a cosmic mistake, the implications of focusing on just humanity as if we're all one. It's just that simple. The implications of only focusing on the university system education at the expense of the ancestral education or intellect. Like, what are the implications of that? See, this is the commercial version of just getting attention on the internet doesn't care about the implications, because that takes work. The information, like, it doesn't matter when you just get views and responses from people just from talking about the information or the subject itself. You know, like, that's not what the YouTube environment or social media is about. The YouTube environment and social media is about, you know, hitting the subjects from what is receivable by the most people. This is why you have millions and millions of people flocking to, like, Logan Paul and the DeFrancos. Like, everybody's really, really used to white supremacy, so they will flock to the voice that is more similar, that feels more comfortable to them. So this is why you have the English accent of David Attenborough telling you about blue whales and selling you the evolution of the primates, of the monkeys, from the Homo sapien to the, you know, so on and so forth. Like, all this shit, it's to calm you. It's to get you to be comfortable and not really question anything. So, and all of this is planted firmly in your reality by the threat of being ostracized by the mainstreamers out there. So you'll be ostracized if you don't engage in small talk. As soon as you get out of the small talk persona, you're ostracized. Like, you're not part of the crew anymore. So that keeps people in check. It keeps people in check because the information is cool. The information matters, and it matters up to a certain degree. This is why you have so many so-called truthers, that they have a lot of followers, but they ain't really about no truth. Like, I did a video on that quantum of conscious dude. Like, they're just about sharing information. Dudes like that, they're just about sharing information to a certain degree. They will never go beyond that degree. And that degree, in reference to, like, that dude, is like, oh yeah, well, we'll just never know anything. Just like so-called white people are. We'll just never know. We'll just theorize about this universe forever. So now you have truthers who are doing the same thing. Oh, we'll just never know the real truth. So let's just be happy with the animal farms, these graduated animal farms that we have discovered. Like, we've discovered them by ourselves. Like, this is what so-called white people are really known for. Like, they want to discover everything, so they have to discredit your talking points and your information in order to keep the focus on, you know, what they're talking about. So this is why so-called white truthers can't really talk to the so-called black conscious community, because they are still subconsciously and unconsciously defending and protecting the white supremacy empire. This is the real reason why you have Bob from Globebusters and Jeranism, who stay in their cubbyhole. They stay in their box. They stay in their corner. And they don't really talk about the actual talking points that we're talking about in different communities. A lot of people don't really go into that, because that's when you're really getting into the issues of subconscious white supremacy, subconscious mind controls, that a lot of these so-called white truthers have not gone into. See, they make their money off of how they look, how they sound, which is like the David Attenborough in reference to documentaries nowadays. They make their money because they got a foot in the door already. They're already accepted in a way that is sweet and caring. It's like, oh yeah, they think they're sweet and caring because the system has, you know, put people out there. So anybody who remotely looks like a, you know, so-called white person is going to be instantaneously perceived as sweet and caring. This is, you know, this is or delightful and all this shit. Whereas in, like, very generally speaking, and at the same time very specifically speaking, people know this. Like, this is a known factor. It's only unknown for people who have emotional attachments to it not existing. No, your emotions don't make things not exist. Your emotions will convince you that it might not exist for a certain amount of time, but that's still your bullshit. That's still what you're dealing with. And eventually it doesn't make it go away. So what's happening is, this stuff has not been going away. It's only been getting worse for so long And it's been appearing like it's been going away to people who don't pay attention to shit. So this is what's happening right now. And since people have been paying attention to this information for so long, they think it doesn't exist anymore because it doesn't affect their world. So when they have a platform and a soapbox to stand on called the internet, social media, YouTube, so on and so forth, they use that along with their white privilege and so on and so forth that comes from the system to stamp you out. This is what the so-called white flat earth community did to the so-called black flat earth community. Let's be honest, that's exactly what the fuck it was. You ain't got nobody in the white so-called white flat earth community talking about black conscious topics, period. In fact, that's taboo to talk over there. So and this was invented, why? Because did black people invent this? No. White people who are still used to and connected to defending subconsciously or unconsciously that system, they utilize the same mechanisms and approaches that they're used to and that are accepted, that will get the views, that will they played their rule and they played their hand that was dealt to them by their ancestors. And now that they're realizing that their hand that was played, because it got manipulated by the mainstream media, we all saw it, we all knew it was going to happen, and now they're playing dumb. Oh, we had no idea it was going to happen. They said they were going to be nice to us and do a nice documentary. Get the fuck out of here. So fucking ridiculous. So now they're playing, oh yeah, now they got all their money, now they got all their views, now they're going to play dumb. They got exactly what Marx said they were going to get. The numbers are what matter. That's what he said. The numbers are what matter. And with these simpleton ass people who are following somebody who is saying the numbers that don't matter, that's what they're going to get. Numbers. That's it. And what numbers? For them? No. Numbers as money in their pocket, numbers as subscribers on their platform, numbers as eyes on their side of the information. But does it really do anything for the situation? Some people can argue yes and all that other stuff, but that's the whole thing. You can argue yes in reference to numbers in the long run, but what I'm talking about, what people are talking about now because they're running into brick walls is, why did we run into this brick wall? We had such a good thing. We literally had the whole world. We had the biggest lie in the world, and now it's just nothing. Now it's just like, oh, nothing's happening. That's exactly what they use those assholes for. To send that information out to make it look like it was going to do something only for it to die. And then they'll bring it back to life later. The system will bring it back to life later when it benefits them. But the people who are playing it for their own benefit, they use them. They use them, and that was the outcome. Because they didn't really understand the depths of this situation. And they didn't really care if they did know. No, they didn't care. And a lot of them don't know how to care because they don't have the information to set the foundation to know how to care. So this is why I share the information that I do on my channel, is to help people get to the information so they can start thinking for themselves and have a deeper layer of understanding and overstanding of what the fuck is going on here, and not just get into this feel-good sensation of, we've realized the earth is flat and now we can just come together as humans and we're all one and it's all great and dandy. Alright. You can do that for how long? Then you're going to run into the same wall that happened with this behind the curve bullshit. It's all about the numbers. There's no substance there. You're all in a who, or you're all in a what consciousness. A what and a who consciousness. Following people, who's, and following what? Flat earth. Just plain flat earth. That's it. But no, that's not it. You are part of that equation. The you is the why and the how that comes after the who and the what. But since the information is just packaged in a way to control people, it will maintain its space at what and who consciousness. And that's up to the individual to get out of that shit. And you won't be able to get out of that if you don't have any, if you don't have any foundations, if you don't have anything to reference. If you're still referencing like, oh, we're just empty nothingness, then you're in that monkey evolution, horseshoe crab, nothingness. It ain't no different than heliocentrism. And people get on their high horse and all proud about, oh yeah, we feel a certain connection with our creator because we realize that the earth isn't a globe and all this shit. And then now they don't have nothing. They just stop there. They stop at the commercial, at the song, the name of the song of the commercial that says, you know, good stuff. That's it. They don't actually do the work that gets closer to doing something about the situation. Why? Because, you know, that's not what, you know, gets views. In fact, that'll get your channel taken down. That'll get views taken away. That'll get people who won't like you anymore. And see, so-called white people are all about, you know, people liking them. They want people to love them. They need to be loved and liked. That's what this whole control grid is about. You know, the system is about, you know, what they say, they're spreading freedom around the world. Look at their commercials. Every single commercial is about, you know, how sweet so-called white people are and how wonderful they are. Look at, oh, here we are. Here, and they can be talking about diarrhea. They be like, oh, we got diarrhea. They'd be like, oh, they love that shit. As long they can talk about anything and make it sweet. They could talk about diarrhea, shit your pants. They could talk about dog shit, rheumatoid arthritis, mesothelioma, and they're all dancing. Oh yeah, here we are. Do you have mesothelioma? Now you can go out to the park and start dancing. You won't shit yourself. Like all this shit. Like they become your God. That's what all those commercials are. White supremacy becomes your God. And you know, they heal you, they feed you, they clothe you, they give you shelter, they give you money, they give you your relationships. Like you can't even be in a deep relationship with your loved one without their approval. You can't get a marriage license without the state's approval. You can't like you can't do any of this shit. Like on the whole, obviously, on the whole. Everything that's near and dear to your reality has to go through the filter of so-called white supremacy. And the people who have difficulty with those words, that's your problem, because, you know, these are words that have been used. These are in the historical documents. It's not illegal to use these words. These words were used openly on a regular basis to describe the consciousness of these individuals. So if we're trying to understand the consciousness of these individuals, we have to use these words to explain that. So that's your problem if you're having difficulty with these words and all this other stuff. See, people weren't having difficulties with these words when they was using, you know, screaming white power and white supremacy when they was lynching people not that long ago. So why the fuck can't we say this shit today? You think see a lot of the so-called truthers who don't want to talk about race and you know, the so-called human story and all this shit that's going on, they ain't done the work. They haven't done that work, that personal work that needs to be done to see a bigger picture. So what they do is they resort to their emotions or ad hominem attacks and just bullshit, just sort of like, you're this and you're that, and then they don't go anywhere. They're children, little kids, adolescent children. So until we get to a space of acknowledging the depths of these storylines, this is why when I made this video right now, this shit went all the way back to like horseshoe crabs and heliocentrism, evolution, monkeys, like the beginnings of the earth. Like every conversation should be like that. Every conversation should be easily within a few seconds be linked back to how this is connected to the macro scale. If you can't do that, then there's something missing there. There's something missing there. Or you have an agenda, there's an intention that's attached to it. But whatever it is, I'm not saying that everybody has to do this or needs to do this. But if you're really talking about so-called truth and doing something about this situation, then at least have the capacity to take it there. See, a lot of people not only don't have the capacity to take it there, they're still saying that this information is not worth talking about. It's taboo. So that's why I stay on the topics and stay on the information that I do, is because I feel before we move anywhere and talk about anything, we need to empower ourselves to a space to be um, responsible enough and aware enough about the situation that we won't fall into the same mistakes we made before because we didn't know the information, this same information back then. That's the whole thing. If we don't equip ourselves with the information, the knowledge and the information that all the timelines before us had, we will fall for those same mistakes. And it's nobody else's responsibilities but our own. And the people who are trying to tell you, don't look at that information. Don't look into the origins of racism. Don't look into white supremacy. Don't look into colonialism. We're all one. We're all human. They're telling you the new world order, consciousness. They're telling you, like, let's just, become human. This is what they said. As soon as an alien, threat comes here, we'll realize we're all one. We're all human. Fucking Reagan said that. People share this video all the time of Reagan saying that. So the game that's going to be played is that we're all one. We're all human. They got the New Age community out there. They got Oprah, Tony Robbins, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra. They got all their heavy hitters out there just staying quiet while Trump is out there doing all this shit because they want to get the dumb people to realize how dumb they are, so that the smart people can come by later on and look extra smart, and so smart that even the dumb people will follow them without even knowing what they're talking about. That's what's happening right now. Let the dumb people just get all loud and angry about their dumb shit. Let them expose themselves with Trump. Let all your dumb friends and family members expose themselves with Trump. And then, when all that's done, then they'll go ahead and sell you something that is like mediocre with a little sprinkling of Obama or something like that. Something, that's familiar to you and seems amazing and really smart, and it's going to be something positive. And you'll think that's God. You'll think that's amazing. Why? Because you've been inundated by less than mediocrity for the last however many 4 years with Trump and so on and so forth. So that's the thing. You're in a constant bombardment of, and you can see this on the local news. Look at the information. You look at the local news. The local news is what? Or even regular news. It's about they go back and forth between mediocrity, horrible, and just above mediocrity. So these stories are either horrible shit like arson, death, murder. And then some kind of mediocre, like political mainstream storyline. Like this is happening, and you're very indifferent or neutral to the whole situation or whatever. It doesn't really affect you. And then they'll have something like, next in mediocre news, this is happening, and we hope to do this with our train system, and we hope to do this, and it's looking like we'll be able to do this in the future, and we might be able to do this. So that's mediocrity with like a little dusting of like better than mediocrity. That's the best you can do in this whole system. Mediocrity dusted with a little better than mediocrity. But you see, the code that's being missed is how you're being programmed. So yeah, we can get all celebrating and all, we all know that. But what gets missed in that is that people say, oh yeah, we can understand that. But what you miss out is that how you're being programmed to hate certain people. You're programmed with that rape and murder and arson, all that other stuff. What gets lost in the sauce is that rape and murder and arson is being focused on who? Black and brown peoples. And then the mediocrity and the sprinkling of better than mediocrity shit is who? White people. So like you get that constant and you're constantly hit with a plethora of like, oh yeah, information based upon like your people are fucked up and these people are the great ones. See, that cancer that exists is what so-called white people want to say doesn't exist, because they don't know what to say about that. They don't know how to approach that because it affects, it's directly involved them and it directly privileges them. So this is what I'm saying. Your whole truther community is bullshit. It's total bullshit. Why? Because it's a majority of so-called white people, and in that case, when it's the majority of so-called white people who can't talk about white supremacy, you do not have truth. You have informative, entertaining information. That's what you have. Entertaining information that is not mainstream. So you don't have truth. You have not mainstream information. That's it. This is what your truth community is. It's not a truther community. It's not a flat earth community. You have not mainstream information that is pre-approved by the so-called white consciousness. Period. That's it. That's as far as your truther community is going to go. That's as far as your flat earth community is going to go, because even your so-called not white flat earthers are just, they're a lot of them are pandering to the big numbers of the so-called white flat earth community. And this is not me being divisive and all this other shit. People who know, they know this is a reality. This ain't me making this up. Like, if you're oblivious to this, it's because you're fucking oblivious to this. I've been observing this shit for the last almost 4 fucking years now. And specifically with the so-called flat earth community. And there is nothing that says that this is not a reality. That's a total valid observation. And right now, this is why I'm saying the so-called flat earth community has become stagnant, is because it was initially stagnant. It started out stagnant. If you ask me, it ain't never had any wheels to, to move, because it was always limited by the same bullshit. That's how it's always been. Prove otherwise that, the flat earth community has done something. What has it done? What has flat earth done in reference to the overall, control grid? What has it really, honestly done? Really? Has it helped, or has it made the intellectual control grid more complex? If you ask me, it made the intellectual control grid more complex. Why? Here's your proof. Your fucking flat earth documentary is on Netflix. So one, they hit you hard, the ad hominem attack made fun of you. In fact, made you look psychologically, mentally unstable with that documentary. Two, they already co-opted your shit. If you had taken advantage of the information beforehand, when I was saying this shit fucking years ago, they wouldn't have been allowed. They wouldn't have been able to do this. You think anybody in my circles would have been able to go, get played the way they did in reference, on that fucking documentary? No, only people who love this system would have been able to get played the way Mark and Patricia and all those other assholes did in that Behind the Curve documentary. Only people who are playing to protect subconsciously or unconsciously that system those are the ones who would have fell for that and did fall for that shit. So this is where we are now. People who are still in that consciousness of falling for that, and they're still defending that. All the videos I talk about on here, they're completely oblivious to the information. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm with you. And this, and then the and this that they say is just some same ass shit as, the other shit. So they really don't get it. I'll leave it there. That's pretty much what I wanted to. My main point was to get out that whole storyline, the horseshoe crabs and all that other stuff. We don't know who the fuck we are. How the fuck, who's to say we're not? If horseshoe crabs are millions and millions of years old, why the fuck can't we be that old? Because evolution? Because monkeys? Because the university says so? So if we are as old, if not older, than horseshoe crabs and alligators and sharks and shit, then fucking why? What's our purpose? And how does that relate to the horseshoe crabs and the sharks and all that other shit? See, these are the intellectual questions and the information that the commercial flat earthers don't want to go into, because that takes actual critical thought. Sit down and talk, not beliefs, not what you feel is right, not what you're regurgitating, what you remembered from the fucking Bible. No, actual think about this shit. Ask some questions and do some research. There's some ancestors that already went into like the depths of the millions of years old and how old we are and all this other shit. There's people and information that's out there that talks or that backs this shit up. I haven't gone into the depths of it, but I know it exists out there, a lot of it, and I'm sharing it up to this point as I'm going along too. And as I find something new, I'll share it. This is the process of this channel. So for people getting butthurt in the comments, I already see people in the comments, but you know that I'm not trying to deter anybody from comments or anything. Please get in the comments section and do your thing, because what happens is you end up, if you're talking shit, you just end up getting used as an example, and you really just show how ignorant you really are to the storyline. So I really don't want to stop anybody from leaving ignorant ass comments, because it's very beneficial for people to see how fucked up the situation is. So by all means, keep it up. And on top of that, other people, same thing. We need more people talking about, talking about different perspectives. Like, share some intellectual perspectives in these comment sections for people, because right now it's just like we have a tendency to just be like, oh yeah, we'll just leave it. It don't take much to leave a quick little comment here and there. I'm not saying you have to do this. I know it's stressful and all that other stuff, but it don't take much to leave something here and there real quick and just be like, you know what, this is what it's really about, and you missed the whole fucking point. Because right now, like I said, this is a warfare. My channel is being hit hard as fuck, man. The views are way the hell down. Other channels are going, the total opposite. But excuse me, the views are ridiculous. This channel, another cubby hole, and all they want is channels who talk about the mainstream shit. You talk about like the shit that's a side effect to white supremacy, like the Nipsey Hussle shit. You're through the roof. Like, how many teachers, how many people who are speaking positive in any kind of way have been taken out? Like, why are we not talking about the institution that makes money, that makes its business off of distracting from that? I know people reference this all the time, but if we don't focus on that and keep that as our focus, then we will continue to be sucked into the bullshit that is put out there by the system to distract you. So, it's our responsibility to first, hold that shit accountable, let that shit go, and really find out what it is that we need to do next, instead of just jumping to everything that is just next on the agenda for their agenda. Yeah, be aware of it, do something about it, but always connect that to the institution of ignorance. The institution of ignorance. Attach it to that in every moment. Because if you don't do that, then you're just going to fucking be distracted by the bullshit that was put out there in the first place, and caught up in the comment section and the responses of the ignorant ass people out there who are just sometimes paid to distract you, and other times just don't even know that they're doing the distraction. So a lot of them mean well, but they don't know how the fuck to mean better, So anyway, I'll leave it there. This video, thought it was gonna be a short one, but it's been a while since I left the video. Yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit on the animated series stuff that I'm uploading now. In fact, I'm gonna upload a bigger, I think it's like almost a 3-hour long compilation of that animated series. Shout out to Carlito Way 44 for putting those together. Subscribe to his channel, share those videos. Like I said, I'm making a bigger compilation with all of them, and a new 20 minutes added to the front part of it. That'll be uploaded later on today after this video. So check that out. Please share that. As controversial and as like whatever it may be, it's not at all controversial for us. So fuck it. It's not controversial for us. That's regular ass information. In like a few years, less than that, in like a year, in like 1 year from now, those cartoons that I'm sharing are gonna be like, they're gonna be like just regular ass information. I mean, it already is regular ass information for us, but on a mainstream level, in like year or 2 years, 3 years, whatever, it's gonna be to a point to where this is known. And because this is already known, this is actual truth. Like the truth that goes into the intelligence of white supremacy, that whole program, that mind control program, see that as a false flag. See, people get caught up in the words of white supremacy. No, see white supremacy as a false flag attack on the beings of this reality. See that. See that. And see, attack truthers, attack that false flag. Attack that information. Attack that control grid. Don't get distracted by, oh, you're using white in terms like we're all one and all this. Nah, fuck that. Use your own terms. Call it a false flag. Call it terrorist, domestic terrorism. Call it whatever the fuck you gotta call it to look into that shit. Whatever you gotta do to look into it, you figure that shit out. Because it's your fucking responsibility. It's not ours. On that note, I'll leave it there. Because the information that comes from this is coming from a place of peace and actually a place of expanding this consciousness and figuring out what the hell is going on here and doing something about it. So until next time, from all my relations, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the support. Until next time, peace, love, and harmony.